Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Seasons of Layers of Pain, episode 7. So, today's episode is talking about finding your voice. So, I'm going to talk about 3 different points related to the book Layers of Pain, and then I'm going to kind of get into the part of the power of forgiveness. So, the first point I want to talk about here today on this podcast is self advocacy. People I've came in contact with said, Trisha, you really need to learn to speak up for yourself. And for many years, I was an introvert and was shy and didn't really speak up for myself. But as I got around people that kept encouraging me to use my voice, speak advocacy, be that voice, it really resonated in me to get me out of that shyness and more and to be more of an extrovert and speak and communicate and talk with different people. And that really brought me out my shell completely. And being that self advocacy for my health and being that self advocacy for my kids and just people who in general that need me to reach out and get information for them. That's what I did and continue to do. And I really had to find my voice. When people continue to tell me this time and time again, like, Trish, you really need to speak up for yourself. You really need to stand up for yourself. It really started to sink in that for many years, I didn't speak up for myself. For many years, I didn't stand up for myself. I didn't stand up for myself and fight. I didn't stand up for myself speaking up. But when I began to speak up for myself, people said, about time. And I even said to myself, about time that you spoke up for yourself and, and speak very highly of things that is concerning not only yourself, but just people around you. And that's my passion, to be self-advocacy. Speak to people, get information, find out the ins and outs of what I need to do. And that's just where I'm at in this journey. And even now, as I'm looking at things that's going on in my life currently, I still self-advocate through situations that comes up that are out of my control. I can't worry about it, I can't dwell about it. But at the same time, I have to speak up. If something don't seem right, I'm gonna make some noise about it. Not in a harsh way, but in a way to get some things moving. Like, you have to be proactive. And I had to learn how to be proactive in certain situations that didn't sit well with me. And the reason being is that when I would just sit back and wait and wait and wait, no, I had to put the pedal to the metal, shake some things up, and really get to going. Because if I sit there and wait, it'll drag on and drag on. But boy, when I start shake a rattle and roll and making some noise, that's when things start to move swiftly. Because I made it my job, I made it my duty to really voice things that really were very important to me. And not only me, just people who are connected to me in general. And I'm going to give you some examples. My health. I had to be an advocacy for my health. I had to be an advocacy for people's health and my kids' health and even my spouse's health. Some things go on with just lifestyle. For example, dealing with certain type of situations. Can I give you another example besides healthcare? Billing. People charging you X amount of money. You got to voice your opinion about something and you know it's not right. They want to go argue with you back and forth, back and forth. But at the end of the day, I'm an advocacy for that, to let you know that, hey, this ain't right, this and that and the third. Why are you charging this? And we've all been there when somebody charge you X amount of, and they know they shouldn't be doing that. And you got to fight and dispute and go back and forth with these folks. That's advocacy to me. Somebody needs some help with some type of information about resources or things that they need to do to move forward. I can remember a situation. There was a lady, and she needed some information about where she can find some good furniture at. And show behold, I was able to get her connected to Faith Farm. And she was able to get herself some nice furniture and stuff for her place. And she followed me for many years. And then, people go on their separate ways. And that was the end of that. I've been an advocacy for the elderly. People who come to me need information about insurance or information about housing or billing, or even just dealing with, some of you may have those still have those government phones, and I had to be an advocacy for that person, which was my beloved godmother, rest her soul, and a couple of, well, one more person that needed me to be the advocacy of that person. And I had to be the voice to them. And they were, how would I say it? They just needed the extra help. And again, that's my passion, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I do. I present self-advocacy for somebody, a people who doesn't have a voice. And I have to be a self-advocacy for myself, because I have to speak up for myself. When something don't seem right, I'm going to voice my opinion. I'm not going to sit in a corner and be quiet and pretend like it's okay, because it's really not okay, ladies and gentlemen. It's really not okay to keep quiet. And many people are like, Trish, how did you get here? It's a process. And that process is when you get tired of the same continuous, inconsistent scenarios in your life. For example, you may have situations where people have walked all over you, and you have people who have just let you down completely. And you've got tired of being walked over and treated so poorly that you really had to speak up for yourself. And you had to learn to stop allowing people to come in and maneuver your mindset in a way that'll shift you in a different direction than you need to be. And the thing about it is, I had to learn not allow certain scenarios or people shift my mindset. I had to learn how to be strong. And I had to learn how to ask God to give me strength in situations where I had to say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not interested in it. No thanks. They got mad, of course. But that's me setting the momentum like, I can't do it. I'm not going to push myself. I'm not going to hurt myself. And I'm not going to be taking myself that extra mile when I don't feel like it. And that's the thing about it. I had to have some pushback on my part to do it and relax. The next point, confidence building. When you are building confidence, and I had to build my confidence up. It was a long journey, but I had to have confidence in myself, and I had to speak life into myself. It's not something I just had to wake up out the bed and say, okay, I'm building confidence, so yeah, this is where I'm at. No, it was a process with that. I had to learn myself. I had to learn what I don't like and what I do like. I had to learn how to use the word no. I had to learn how to be determined to stand for what I believe in and not be falling for the narratives of what everybody else can do. I can sit in a room and listen and speak and not be nervous and tremble, but allow the words to just come out of my mouth to just impact people. And many people love hearing me talk. It's like, you should be a public speaker or you should be a counselor. Hey, in due time, ladies and gentlemen, in due time. But my confidence came with powerful women reminding me that I can do it, that I will do it. And they saw it in me. It took me a long time for me to see it into myself. And when I began to really let that door open and let that flourish, listen, there's no more quiet. There's no more hush hush. It's more so that I can speak and vocalize things and get my point across and say it in a way that gets me a little bit more leeway moving in the journey that I'm moving. Even now, when I go places, if some stuff don't sit right with me, I'm going to ask questions. They may say you ask too many questions. No, I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to vocalize how I feel about it. Most people say, whoa. Yes, it can be a little bit intense at times. And I've noticed that about myself as well. So I had to learn how to kind of tone it down just a little bit. Not a whole lot, to meet people where they're at. So a lot of people haven't built their confidence up, and a lot of people don't know where to begin. In this book, Layers of Pain, it's going to share with you how to build your confidence up. In the webinar that will be streamed here on Facebook and on YouTube next Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, it gives you more a dialogue of how to do that. And that'll be like the way it's set up with episode 1 through 8. It'll be scenarios of week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, week 7, week 8. That's how the webinars will be lined up. The next point I want to look at, ladies and gentlemen, is speaking your truth. I spoke my truth. I have spoken my truth. I had somebody remind me, said, hey, you like doing inspirational videos? Do it on your own platform. And boy, when they told me that, sky's the limit. I flew like a rocket. It was an old friend of mine that told me about that. We're no longer connected. But she told me that, and she reminded me of how talented and amazing you are, and how you can speak your truth about things, and how you can really vocalize things on your own platform versus of things on what you're doing for somebody else's platform. And my platform has grown tremendously in the last 6, 7 years, 8 maybe. I've been doing this, and I do it with a passion. I speak about things that is important to the people in the community. I speak about things that are valid. Many times people say, "Whoo, your light too bright," because anything that I'm sharing with you, or somebody gonna tell you again. A lot of times we don't like to hear the truth because the truth is like a slap in the face, and it really brings us to a size like, dang, I don't really want to hear. I want to be hard headed, this and that and the third. And we've all been there where we don't want to hear the truth, and we don't want to hear what people have to say to us about ourselves. But truth, reality is, speaking the truth is who I am. I'm gonna be completely honest about things, and people be completely honest about me about things they see in me that I continue to work on. And I've learned not to let it bother me. That just makes me even grow even further and even stronger through it. So again, the book Layers of Pain talks about speaking your truth and how you do that by not finding validation in other people, by being yourself, being open and honest. And so important, everybody, being open minded, being open to hear what everybody has to say and where their mindset is. Because you can learn something, folks. You can learn so much different things from them that it can really tremendously impact you in a tremendous way. It can show you the good things, it can show you the not so good things. But you pick and choose which side you want to rock with. And that's a decision you have to make within yourself. But by you speaking your truth, being validated about what your whole mission is, people are not going to understand what you're coming from or relate in some scenarios. You have people who will, and you have people who will just look at your lives or look at your videos or rails or even just look at you and have no idea what you're talking about. Because again, everybody's mindset and everybody's way of comprehending is so different. And the thing about it is that when you speak your truth, you speak it in a way to get your message across. And when you speak it, you don't expect validation, confirmation from anyone because it's coming straight from the heart. And when it comes straight from the heart, you learn that, hey, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to change about myself. This is where I need to grow. This is where I need to develop. I need to stop worrying about what everybody else say and really start speaking my truth about really who I am. That goes for the men and women who's listening to this podcast. Because fellas, not only are you listening to this, but it's going to help you. It's going to help you speak your truth in scenarios in your life. Are people going to get offended by you speaking your truth? Of course they will. Because the thing about it is, are they speaking their truth? Why be offended about something if you know you have some things to work on too? We all have things we have to work on, everybody. And we have to learn how to be diligent with it. And we have to learn how to be mindful. And that's the thing about speaking your truth. You know who you are. You don't need nobody to put a stamp on it. You already know who you are. You know what you are capable of doing. You know what you are able to intake. So don't worry. So now we're going to get into the important part of this. You like, Trish, what was the other part? That was important too, ladies and gentlemen. But this is the part everybody want to run from. The power of forgiveness. That word forgiveness going to be running around to the day we check out of here. I'm telling you right now. Because we can't run from the word forgiveness. We cannot. You can ignore it. You can keep swiping. You can swipe up. You can swipe forward. You can turn your head. You can go to sleep. You can turn the TV off. You can turn your phone off. You can turn the radio off. You can turn the radio off in your car. You can do whatever you do. You go to the grocery store. You hear that word forgiveness. You might start screaming. You're like, dog, listen. People don't want to talk about forgiveness because it's a very sensitive and a painful topic to talk about. It's hurtful, it's painful, it's critical. And the thing about it is, I've lived in some of the majority of my life. I had to learn how to forgive people, and it took me a very long time to find closure. Okay, so today I was out and about, and I was thinking about a certain individual that I was just so my soul would flame just to hear the name and everything. But today, when that name came to mind, my heart and my soul was not inflamed anymore. And you're like, Trish, what do you mean inflamed? When you think of a certain name being mentioned or a certain situation, some of y'all soul just burn and spirit just really just boil because you just can't stand the name or the situation that happened. It just really it's just really rub you the wrong way. And that's how I was for a while. But today was a little bit different. It wasn't painful. It didn't really affect me. And I thought, oh shoot, I began the healing process of this situation. And it was a peace. It was a calmness there. And what I can say is I felt lighter. And I felt lighter because I'm no longer holding on to that grudge or that anger or that frustration. Even us who have forgiveness, we have those moments when we have anger and frustration and grudges. But I can say I set myself free. The thing about the power of forgiveness, ladies and gentlemen, is freeing yourself. Freeing yourself from the bondage that kept you bound. Freeing yourself from the hurt and pain that really caused you so much turmoil in your life. And as you read on in the book of Layers of Pain, you will hear about a lot of different things that I had to do to get to that place. And was it easy? No. But even though I forgave them, I never forgot. That's something you can never forget. But you learn not to let it live in your head, don't let it live in your heart, and definitely do not live in your spirit or even your soul. Because the only person you're hurting at the end of the day is yourself. And many of you out here want to get your get back. And I say this so many times and times again. God hits harder than we do. And he will allow you to see what happens in that situation. I recommend don't laugh, don't smile, just say, Lord, your will be done. I'm trying to help y'all. Don't be laughing at them people who did you wrong. I'm telling you, don't. Just say, your will be done and keep it pushing. Okay? Now, the part that I want to speak about here as we get ready to wrap up this podcast today. Even when they never say sorry. Now, that's the most important part for forgiveness, and there's many other layers to that, which we'll be getting into sometime down the line. I'm not going to even name that podcast. That's going to be somewhere down the line. That's called to to be announced type of broadcast. You won't even it'll probably be something random, but I don't have a date or a time or when I'm gonna do that podcast. But that's another conversation for another time. But even when they never say sorry, this is where this really challenged you, and it challenged me. When somebody never really say they are sorry, you gotta find out deep down in your heart to forgive that person. You're like, oh Trisha, I don't know about that. Let me tell you, just like I told you before, you're only hurting yourself when you hurt the way you hurt. God knows your pain. God knows the situation. God knows the truth about it all. But you have to really set yourself free from this. The pain, the agony, and the frustration so you can live a life that's prosperous. You like, Trisha, I don't know if I can do that. God give us all free will. I'm just giving you the information that helped me, and I hope it helped you. Because we all need a helping hand. We all need somebody to guide us and let us know that, hey, even though this person has hurt you and did you wrong, you got to have forgiveness for yourself and them, even when they never say they're sorry. You won't ever get a sorry. Stop trying to get y'all get back. See, this is what messed a lot of people up. You're trying to get your get back. At the end of the day, did it make you feel better? Let's just be honest. Some people say, yeah, it made me feel real good. But let's truly be honest here with yourselves. Did it really feel good that you got your get back? Because a guilty conscience speaks louder than words. That part. A guilty conscience speaks louder than words. Your conscience will eat away at you if you don't correct it. Don't get your get back. Let God deal with it. All right? All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is my time. I will see you back here tomorrow at 4 p.m. with episode 8. So, I hope you all have a wonderful and a phenomenal Friday afternoon. Do some amazing and enjoy yourself. Have fun. Be excited. Be joyful. Whatever you need to do, ladies and gentlemen. And take time out on what you need to do moving forward. All right, everybody. See you tomorrow. This will be available on demand on Layers of Pain YouTube channel. Be blessed.